A Roman Catholic priest in Cameroon has spit fire on the Cameroonian government, telling Cameroonians that only soldiers who are children of poor people are being sent to die in the war against separatists in the northwest and southwest English-speaking regions of Cameroon. The priest sent soldiers to tell President Paul Biya, who is also commander-in-chief of the armed forces, that Cameroonian parents no longer want to bury their children killed in conflict zones, referring to the armed conflict rocking the Anglophone regions of Cameroon for over 4 years now. And the Tibonage, who is the U.S. Secretary of State in charge of African affairs, has also indicated that the military solution will not have a way out of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions, condemning the adoption of the military strategy by the government of Cameroon. The diplomat indicates that the war can never be won by a military solution. Meantime, the Defense and Security Forces of Cameroon, on its part, is activating to change its strategy, the military tactics in the Anglophone regions. This came out of a high-level security meeting chaired by the Secretary General in charge of the defense in Cameroon, who was in the Northwest Regional Chieftain Bamenda. Joseph Betiasomo was on high instructions from the head of state to Bamenda. We'll tell you more of these stories and more in this edition of the news. Thanks for joining us on the Primetime Newscast on Équinoxe Television. We're live from our central news desk in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. We begin with our top story. The defense and security military tactics used in the northwest and southwest English-speaking regions of Cameroon will have to change with the change in dynamics and operational modus operandi and the operational mode by separatists in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. These are some of the statements that came out of a high-level security meeting in the Northwest Regional Chieftain Bamenda. The meeting was presided out by Joseph Betiasomo, who is Secretary of State in charge of Defense at the Presidency of the Republic of Cameroon. Bostella tells us more from Bamenda.
Over a dozen soldiers in Bamising, including more and civilians in parts of the Northwest region, has brought to the surface the tragic fact that the Anglophone crisis has again changed its face. The largest single toll for the Defense and Security Forces was on September 16th, when an ambush by separatist fighters claimed the lives of over a dozen soldiers, 2 armored vehicles destroyed, and weapons carried away by the attackers. The stakes are therefore higher in the face of the security crisis in Anglophone Cameroon. Ordered by the head of state Paul Biya and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Betiasomo, held an in-camera working session with military chiefs and administrative authorities led by Governor Adolphe Lelafrique on September 22nd in Bamenda. Shortly after the meeting, Minister Joseph Betiasomo declared undelayed and undisclosed actions to handle the situation in the northwest and southwest regions.
The defense and security forces have been subject to, of late in this region, by irredentist separatists, obviously equipped with increasingly sophisticated equipment and benefiting, this is an established fact, from human and external material support. The new paradigm of the security situation, which is already in the process of consolidation in this region, as in that of the Southwest, warrants a change of approach in the action of the defense and security forces.
Also in the declaration, the visiting minister hailed the bravery of the defense and security forces in the conduct of operations. He was also bearer of the condolences of the President of the Republic to bereaved families of security and civilian victims on the aftermath of the recent attacks on the defense and security forces in Gokutunja and Bui divisions.
The meeting was presided out by Joseph Betiasomo, secretary, that is, who is minister delegate at the presidency of the Republic of Cameroon in charge of defense in Bamenda. And of course, they are activating and also thinking how to re-strategize optional, however, maintaining the military option as a way out of the armed conflict rocking the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Joseph Betiasomo was chairing that meeting in Bamenda at a time when the Prime Minister, head of government, Joseph John Guti, is still in Boya, chieftain of the southwest region of Cameroon. The Prime Minister, in consultations today, met with traditional rulers within the bid of seeing the implementation of resolutions of the major national dialogue. But before his meeting with traditional ruler, Derek Jato, our southwest regional chieftain correspondent, takes a look at day 3 of the visit of the PM to the southwest.
Just behind me, this is a multitude that is still to be received by the Cameroon Prime Minister and head of government. Since morning, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute has been receiving persons, group of persons, associations, human rights activists, sons and daughters of the Southwest region, students, the youth, transporter syndicate. We have been made to understand that the lone discussion is on how to call off the guns that have been smoking for more than 4 years now. It is quite very worrisome, reason why those who came here today said they have been delegated to come and tell the Cameroon Prime Minister the truth, to tell him that it is still hot in various villages, to tell him that they need ceasefire, and to tell him that let another dialogue be organized. Well, we caught up with Professor Dorothy Njoma, the first Vice Chancellor of the University of Boya, who said the academic sector is one of the most hit.
In 2016, 1% of candidates who wrote this exam did so in the 2 English-speaking regions. Today, it is the reverse. And we complain of being marginalized. How are we going to get out of marginalization without being educated?
And equally, the Southwest chiefs were among those who were received today by the Cameroon Prime Minister. They equally told the Cameroon Prime Minister that it is their greatest wish to see that this war come to an end, and that they are doing everything possible to make sure that their sons and daughters holding guns in the bushes drop them and come home. But call on the population to give the government some time. That has been the situation here, and whatsoever will be the major resolution, everyone has made his or her intention known that enough should be enough, and that ceasefire should be the only way out of the Anglophone crisis. We are Amos Fongo, Derek Jato, Donald Gris Kamgan, and Babila Jonathan.
Derek Jato, who is part of a crack team of reporters and technicians of Équinoxe Television, dispatched to Boya in the southwest region of Cameroon. And you should want to know what traditional rulers of the southwest region of Cameroon told Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti after their meeting with the PM. Our special envoy to Boya, Babila Jonathan, questioned traditional rulers of the southwest on what they told the Prime Minister. He compared their declarations in the following report.
A moment, an exchange qualified as frank talk between Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti and traditional leaders from the 6 divisions of the southwest region of Cameroon in Boya Thursday. The paramount ruler of the Bafors, His Royal Majesty Ekoko Mukete, Meme Divisional Chief Conference President, His Royal Majesty Kenneth Mukete, and Chief Henry Fonderson of Mayview Village in the Fako Division were among the traditional rulers received by the Prime Minister.
We generally had the opportunity to talk about the difficulty that Kumba is facing, the fact that businesses are suffering, the fact that the population, which had enjoyed a reasonable bit of calm for a while, has suddenly sort of regressed into a situation of fear, and not much is going on. And we notice also that the passage to Kumba is a problem.
Our major problem was the road, Kumba Ikondo Titi, and the bus spots around Balangi and Ediki, and that it slows a lot of vehicles. And so if those spots could be upgraded, it will go a long way to help smooth flow of vehicles. and consequently the attacks around the roads will be lessened.
We have had very frank discussion with His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, and we have presented to him what we think are solutions for this crisis to be resolved. He has also told us frankly what he has been doing and how he plans to continue.
To them, the Prime Minister's response to their worries speaks hope for better days.
He himself acknowledged that we need to follow up with what we have been doing in our various spheres of competence to calm down the situation and to get solutions.
He agreed actually, and he wanted to see how, we should say how they can help, and we obviously said, well, the road infrastructure has to be better. We also should expect some more lights in the city. You could have solar lights and lit up the place, and there has to be much more security for everyone.
The Prime Minister was favorable about what we said, and for the tarring of the spots at Ediki and Balangi, it has already been put into the investment budget, and I think in the days ahead we're going to have a smooth ride along that road for the Mondemba, Équinoxe Tv and Kumba road. We are still with the company that was supposed to do it, so they will be coming when the rain ceases.
But for peace to return to the northwest and southwest regions,
it cannot just be security decreed, it cannot be peace decreed, it has to be true peace that people honestly can see that, okay, we don't have to agree on everything, but we should agree that we have a community and we have to live together.
We are asking people to be patient simply because dismantling may be easy, but assembling might not be as easy as dismantling.
Despite the fact that some of the traditional rulers talk of several issues still waiting for concrete answers from government, they say there is hope in the horizon, hope for peace, normalcy and stability in the regions hit by security tensions.
And other stakeholders who met with the Prime Minister say that they were looking up to proposals that will see peace return to the northwest and southwest regions of the country. After their meeting with the Prime Minister, our correspondent and the team dispatched to Boya spoke to Dorothy Njema, who is an elite of the southwest region of Cameroon and also the president of the syndicate of workers of the region. Listen to them in the following extract.
Yes, I was leading a delegation of Southwest Teachers Association to raise with the Prime Minister, Head of Government, a number of issues relating to the education sector. Education is the sector that has been the most negatively affected by what has been going on since 2017. And that it is not helping us if we complained about matters relating to education, and we know that for the northwest and southwest regions, it was like our flagship. That was what we were proud of. But today, we have contributed to destroy education in our two regions. It doesn't make sense.
We put all our worries in writing, and we read and gave a copy to him, but we've not, because of time constraint, we have not had that level of exchange. But he promised that all our opinions will be taken into consideration. But I pray that it's really taken into consideration, because it is not the first time that we're presenting our worries to the government. And I think it should really be taken into consideration. And I pray that everyone who has the opportunity to meet the Prime Minister should be honest enough to tell the Prime Minister what we are going through.
And all happening within the context of the 4-year armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. A Catholic priest has spit fire on the government, telling Cameroonians that only soldiers who are children of poor people are being sent to die in the northwest and southwest regions. He also sent soldiers present at the ceremony he was presiding in Yaoundé to tell President Paul Biya, who at the same time is the head of the armed forces in Cameroon, that Cameroonian parents no longer want to bury their children killed in the conflict zones. Take a listen to details in this report compiled by Équinoxe Tv.
Je voudrais vous prier.
Officiating a funeral mass of a young soldier killed by separatist fighters in the ongoing armed conflict in Anglophone Cameroon, the Roman Catholic priest grabbed the opportunity to give to the military men in attendance a strong message to be channeled to their hierarchies for transmission to the head of state, chief commander of the armed forces, President Paul Biya.
Que ce sang qui se verse.
The poor families continue to cry as their sons are slaughtered at the war front. The state has all the means to stop this bloodshed. I plead deeply in the name of the church, the bereaved families, for the head of state to help us stop mourning our children.
Ils sont couchés des jeunes, que le chef d'État nous aide à ne plus pleurer nos enfants. Transmettez ce message.
The Reverend Father implores those receiving the message not to ignore or discard it. Rather, do everything possible it gets to the offices of the Minister of Defense and the Presidency of the Republic.
Transmettez ce message.
Transmit this message, don't kill it. If not, we will continue mourning our children. We don't want this war in the northwest and southwest regions anymore.
Sinon, on continuera à pleurer nos enfants.
No, no and no. Families are tired of it. The children who perish or die are children of the poor, the underprivileged.
Parce que les enfants qui meurent, ce sont les enfants des pauvres.
I must say this, no general, colonel or state official has ever lost a child in this bloody armed conflict. A life matters. We are all Cameroonians. Let's stop this war.
Les hommes morts, les enfants des pauvres, excusez. Arrêtons. Arrêtons.
It is not the first time the religious in Cameroon condemn and call for end of the armed conflict. It is, however, expected this heart-piercing message, like a bullet from the holy man, shatters barriers, passes through walls, and touches hearts of the powers that be.
And also international stakeholders or foreign stakeholders also do not believe that the military strategy adopted by the government of Cameroon is a right one to see an end to the conflict that has been ongoing for over 4 years now. And one of such international figures is the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Abonnez, who has says and reiterated that the war in the English-speaking regions of Cameroon can never be won with the military strategy. He reiterated on his Twitter account and said in his words that he was sorry to see the increased violence in Cameroon in Anglophone regions, and he said that he had warned for years that if not resolved, the conflict will get deadlier and spread. And he went further to state that there is no military solution. What is in a human spirit cannot be extinguished with force. Those are the words of Abonnez, who is former UN Secretary of State in charge of African Affairs. And the security forces in Cameroon have also suffered a backlash following a viral video on social media in Cameroon that has generated a wide range of condemnations. It is a video that shows police officials torturing a man to a high degree in a detention center in the nation's political capital city, Yaoundé. Immaculate Fogwe tells us more in the following report.
Torture at its peak, taking place at the 18th District Police Station in Yaoundé. The barbaric scene is being carried out by police officers with the aid of a machete. The victim's cry for help is being ignored by those carrying out the act. The delegate for national security, Mathang Banga Gili, in a release, condemns the inhumane treatment meted on the victim and promises to punish all those carrying out the act. According to the release, the tragic scene occurred on the night of September 15th, 2021.
And a locality in Cameroon, Soho, is suffering adequate underdevelopmental challenges. The hospital in that area of the central region of Cameroon is in a pathetic state, as Simatji Kangiebe tells us in the following report.
Situated in North Makumbi, in Konjok subdivision, Kam division of Littoral region, Sohok is in dire need of medical staff to work at its integrated health center. Several patients who come for consultation on a daily basis at the Sohok Integrated Health Unit must spend several hours waiting because just one medical doctor is doing everything in the hospital. This is the Integrated Health Unit of Sohok, where patients are more than the medical doctor, since we have just one. Him alone does consultation, treat injuries, aid women to deliver. We are begging on government to help us.
He fancy one man, na you go work venkat, na you will be beg government. Several no day for grab, Nkonjo go Bafang. Step 2 for Santo de Santee, the highest big Santo de Santee for Insan Konjo.
The situation has been this way for the past 10 years, and at times, some patients die on their way to Bafang, which is the closest town to them.
I thought I did one.
For more than 10 years, I have been working in this health unit alone. I do everything here alone. The people here are farmers. We are forced to work this way. The population of Sohok is now begging on the Minister of Public Health, Manauda Malashi, to come to their rescue.
In a bid to reinforce the realization of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Resident Coordinator in Cameroon has met with stakeholders of the private sector in Douala to discuss their involvement in the achievement of these very important goals of the UN for the world. Glory Mala, who attended the event, tells us that it was an avenue that brought stakeholders to understand the strategic role they can play in the 17 sustainable goals to be realized by 2030. The report that we unfortunately will not be having in this edition of the news. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for that, and of course urge you to stay in the company of programs on Équinoxe Television.